For a little context, I ran into this video here, or not even a video, it's a community post from Tech Steve, and it basically said, just in case you wondered, it's what blooming looks like, showing you a bunch of different pictures. Problem is, he refuses to tell you what the brand is. Now, if you see how bad the blooming is, this is anti-consumer, because clearly people would want to know what not to buy when you see this light up like the 4th of July. And I was going through some of the responses that people had, and again, now I guess this is a QNED. I'll show some receipts to kind of back that up just in case. But then you see a couple people are kind of saying like you're going to save them hundreds and stuff like that. And so I was saying, you know what? Guess that's my job, because I really get annoyed when these influencers don't want to tell you what the brand is doing wrong. When they show you, they'll play games with you like this. Like, is there any good reason, Tech Steve, you could possibly have for like literally showing the worst possible blooming in existence and then telling all your followers I'm not going to show you? Like, who does this help? The corporation. It tells people that you're bought and paid for. Whether you are or aren't, that's the message it sends. You're willing to stand in front of a multi-million dollar corporation and not reveal the bad job that they did on this local dimming versus just telling your fans like, hey, stay away from this set. That's the difference between you and me, in case anybody was out there wondering. And it's not to put anybody under the bus. It's just this behavior does not help consumers. And that's why I don't like it. And so to help consumers, I'm going to let you know what the TVs with the most blooming are. Okay, so again, if I had to guess, this is a QNED 90. Particularly because if you look into his reviews, he's already reviewed that. So I feel like he's already run into this. And this is maybe some of the old pictures he ran into during that time. If you look at this, it will show you the black uniformity on rtings.com. They'll show you that the black levels are basically really, really gray. And they tell you straight up, the QNED 90 has subpar black uniformity with local dimming disabled or whatever the case may be. You can definitely see even with local dimming though, it's pretty bad because here local dimming terrible or with it disabled, but when it's on, it's still pretty bad as you can clearly see. Now you can pull this up on rtings.com and support them that way, but either way you can see that it's about the same. Now, could you imagine if we were to go back to the pictures that Tech Steve showed us where everything basically looked like this cross right here? Well, then you kind of have the QNED 90. I mean, you can't tell me that this doesn't look very similar to what we just saw on rtings.com with the illumination just being absolutely terrible. And this is kind of what I'm talking about. Now, again, I'm going to talk about some of the worst TVs, but before I do, I want to kind of point out something. Blooming is basically the result of the local dimming being more effective than the native contrast. So in English, what that means is it's trying to dim down zones and turn off things and make it look black. But the problem is when it illuminates something, because the contrast ratio is really garbage, it ends up looking really pale. And that's why I don't recommend any QNED products. And I tell everybody it's basically IPS garbage, because this is what you're going to get 9 times out of 10. Now, to go over some other TVs that have a similar effect to this, I've run into this on the Sony X95K. I've run into this on the Sony X90K. I've run into this on the Samsung QN90B, the Samsung QN90A. It's basically a lot of mini LEDs have this problem, right? Some TCLs, right? With some 6 series that I've had it with the Q825 in the past, really a lot of mini LEDs, honestly. And honestly speaking, like it's a problem that nobody really wants to call out to the degree that it needs to be called out so that we win. So hopefully that helps you out. Whether it's Sony, Samsung, LG, Vizio, everybody has their problems with local dimming and they're trying to work on them, I guess. But this kind of like white knighting that we're seeing right here from Tech Steve, we don't need this in the AV community. We need you to come out and tell people when there's problems so that they get fixed instead of hiding them or like literally just covering them up, because like you literally say, I will not mention the brand, and which is great. That's your prerogative to do so. You can make disingenuous reviews that hold parts of the truth back. Again, you're not the #1 brand in honesty, so you don't have to be honest. But I would like to see a little bit more transparency behind what you're reviewing and when you're reviewing these products, because this, again, this is disgusting. Like, look how bad that is. And again, I would guess it's a QNED 90. Now, another little caveat here, the ISO is pretty high on Tech Steve's end. I know this by just recording these TVs after many, many years, and you can kind of see that it's a little over exaggerated a little bit to kind of accentuate just how bad it is. But if I had to guess, again, QNED 90. So again, just a quick rundown before we end the video. You want to stay away from the X95K. You want to stay away from the X90K, the QN90B, the QN85B, QN85A. Again, most of the Samsung mini LED TVs are going to have this problem, and a lot of the Sonys are going to have this problem as well. So again, just keep that in mind as you're shopping around.